everybody, my name is Mars, you can call me MG if you'd like, and today we have my September TBR. Now, I'm going to say this, I am filming this very early in the month of August. It is currently the 14th, so there are still like 2.5 weeks left of the month, but my two favorite readathons of all time had their announcement videos come up in the past couple of days, and I've just been too obsessed with making my TBRs for those readathons that I just need to make my entire TBR for the month now. So that's what we're doing, but we will talk about the readathons at the end of the video. First, we have to do the 3 ways that I normally pick out my TBR for the month, so we are going to get right into that. So the first way that I pick out my TBR each month is by picking 2 things to prioritize from my 25 in 2025 list. So I have all of them written down and put in this little jar, so we're gonna give it a shake and pull 2 slips of paper out. There are definitely things in here that I have already read without having to pull them from the jar, and if I pull one of those, we'll just discard that paper and pull again. So, first up, we'll go with this one. And it says, The Merchant of Venice. I have already read this one. Great. Try again. Ooh, I got 2. This one. And this one says, The Witch King. Okay, that is actually on the shelf right behind me. It is by H.E. Edgman. This is one of the books that I wanted to reread this year, so I'm glad that I'm finally getting to do that. I'll pull it off the shelf and show it to you later on in the video when I do my complete wrap-up of everything that I'll be reading. So the first one on the list is The Witch King. Exciting. Now let's pull for our second one. Ooh, this one. And it is Babel, which I've already read. That one was for a vlog. I will try and remember to leave it linked down below. It was my R.F. Kuang author taste test vlog, so a lot of fun doing that. Check it out if you are interested. So let's do book 2, take 2. Come on, just one. And we have Beauty Queens. Another one that I've already read. Okay, I'm glad we're at least clearing things out. Take 3. Go with this one right at the top. We have, okay, this one says Fortuna Sworn. So I put together this list in December, and that's when I wrote down all of the names and everything. I want to say it was back in February, I decided that I was DNFing the Fortuna Sworn series. I didn't care to actually continue it after some thought, because I really did not like book 4, and I just didn't want to sit through books 5 and 6, so I swapped this out for the Summoner series by Taran Matharu, and I technically have finished that entire trilogy, but I like how I'm still waving this around. But I do have the prequel of the Summoner series. It is called The Outcast, and it is the origin story of the mentor character in that series. So I guess the book going on the TBR is The Outcast. The second way that I pick out the books I'm going to read each month is with the 2 book clubs that I'm in. So the first one is the Nostalgia Train book club run by my dear friend Violet, and in September we'll be reading The Giver by Lois Lowry. This is a book that I remember not liking when I read it as a kid, so I'm very intrigued to pick it back up as an adult and see if I'll like it now. I truly have no idea how it's going to go. I don't remember why I didn't like it as a kid, so we're just gonna go into this kind of blind. The other book club that I'm in is the Bujo Buddies book club, and at the time of filming this, because it is super early in the month of August that I'm filming, the book has not been announced, but I do know that it's going to be a nonfiction book, which I like nonfiction. I don't have anything against the genre, but when the Bujo Buddies pick a nonfiction book, 99% of the time it is a self-help book, and I am not a fan of the self-help genre. It just doesn't do anything for me. I think I found like one self-help book that's actually been helpful and interesting to me. So I'm pretty sure no matter what gets picked, I'm going to skip this month. I could be wrong. It could be something that sounds super fascinating and I will read it. And if that's the case, I apologize for this, but I'm probably not going to read it. I'm saying that now. I will leave a comment. I'll leave a pinned comment of whatever the pick ends up being, just so you guys know what it is. And what would be the last way I pick my TBR for the month, if not for those readathons, we have my TBR game, which involves this deck of cards, the Adventurer's Tarot. It is not an actual tarot deck, it is an oracle deck, it's just called the Adventurer's Tarot. I feel like I have to give the disclaimer every time because I just hate how it's called a tarot when it's not a tarot deck. Anyway, I normally pick 5 cards each month, and each one corresponds to a prompt. However, in August, I only picked 3, or I guess in July for August, I only picked 3 cards because I was feeling a little bit overwhelmed, a little bit burnt out. I just needed to take it easy. I'm going to also pick 3 in September because of those readathons. I've got so many books on the TBR for those, and the less cards I pull, the less risk there is of adding even more if I can't, like, use the books I already planned for the readathons in these prompts. I just want to be kind to myself. So we're pulling 3 cards. The first one is, ooh, a cute pastel one, the Four of Undead. Then we have the Three of Aberrations. And our third and final card for the month of September is the Three of Plants. Okay, so no class cards. The way this deck works is it's split into 2 different types of cards. There's the class cards, which are like the cleric or the fighter. This is themed on D&D. I don't know if I mentioned that, but those there's 2 of each of those cards in the deck, and so I gave them 2 prompt options, and if I pull one of those I get to choose between the 2 prompts. Then we have the ones that I've pulled, which are enemy cards, and they are in like sets, and I made like a theme for each of the prompts in each set. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to consult my list of prompts, find books that fit them, and come back to you and talk about them. Okay, so this has taken an interesting turn. Let's just talk about the books that I put for these prompts. So, the first card that I pulled was the Four of Undead. And this one hurt because the prompt for this is a book that I've owned for too long. Now, I've talked about this quite a lot in recent videos, but all of my books on my physical TBR, except for one, the oldest that I have, are from early 2024. I am usually quite good about reading books in a timely manner. The one book that is the exception to this is a book that I got in 2016. It has been on my TBR for almost a decade, and there's really no other book I could put for this prompt except for that one. So, I will be reading Inferno by Dan Brown, which was on the TBR for July, and I didn't get to it, so I feel like this is the book getting revenge. I will be vlogging this, so stay tuned for that, I guess. Oh my god, I cannot believe this has made it onto the TBR again. Especially a TBR where I have like a million other books to read. Wow. Okay, well, it has to happen. So, that's the first one. Then we had the Three of Aberrations, which is a paperback, and I had a whole host of books that I could have picked for this one. This was super easy. I just decided to go with The Fellowship of the Ring by J.R.R. Tolkien. This I will be reading as a buddy read with my friend Stieg, and I'm very excited. We'll be reading the entire trilogy throughout the fall, one a month, and I'm super duper excited because I love Lord of the Rings. It's been a long time since I've read it, and it just feels like a good time to do so, you know? So I cannot wait. I already have my Libby hold in for the Andy Serkis audiobook, so that's going to be super fun to have playing while I read along in my very beat up paperback copy. So this lessens the sting of having to put Inferno on a little bit. But then we come to another doozy, but slightly less so because I did have this on a readathon TBR already, so I'm glad I got to double up there, but the book is quite intimidating. So we had, for our last card, The Three of Plants, and the prompt for this is a book set in or by an author from Asia, and the book that I am putting on is The Three Body Problem by Cixin Liu, might be how it's pronounced. I looked it up and I got like 15 different conflicting answers as to how to pronounce it. I think it's just because I don't speak Chinese, so there's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce it accurately. There's a bus right outside my house because I live near a bus stop. I'm sorry for those sounds, but yes, The Three Body Problem. Very terrifying, but I'm also very excited to read. So, interesting books this month. But now we get to move on and talk about those two readathons that I've mentioned. So the first readathon that I will be talking about is the Summer Scare readathon hosted by my dear friend Jess over at the Hex Library. I will leave the announcement video linked in the description for this readathon as well as the other one that I will be talking about. But the Summer Scare readathon is taking place from the 13th to the 21st this year, the very last week of summer, and also the week that my birthday falls in, so it's like a nice little present that I get to participate in this. There are 9 different reading prompts, and I have doubled up as much as I can, so I have 5 books that I will be reading for this readathon. So the first one is Dear Mothman by Robin Gao, and this is for the prompt of middle grade, as well as a book that includes a cryptid. I am very excited to read this, and I really think it's going to make me cry, which is always a great time. Then we have Ruined by Paula Morris. I am reading this for Gravestone on the cover, as well as Diverse to Me, because Paula Morris, the author, is of Maori descent, and I am not, so that makes it diverse to me. That makes her diverse to me? I don't know. It fits the prompt. Then we have Whisper Down the Lane by Clay McLeod Chapman. This is for the horror thriller prompt, as well as a spooky word in the title. I am counting whisper as a spooky word. I don't know if you guys consider that to be spooky, but I think it fits, so we're going to run with it. Then for a book taken off of someone else's TBR, I'm going with The Giver, which, yes, is already on my TBR because it's the book club pick, but because it is for a book club, that means other people have it on their TBR, so I am considering that to be taking it off of someone else's. Again, it works for me. If you disagree, you can let me know politely in the comments, but it's what I'm going with. But then the final book that I will be reading for this readathon is The Metamorphoses by Franz Kafka. This is for the prompt 200 or under 200 pages, because this is a short story. I think it's like 50-something pages. And it's also for Out of Comfort Zone, because it's about a guy who turns into a big old bug, and I am terrified of bugs, so it is definitely out of my comfort zone. And the other readathon that I will be taking part in is for the entire month of September, and that is the second half of the Magical Readathon hosted by G over at Book Roast. Another super fun readathon where basically you just create a character to send to magic school, and the different prompts are for the different classes that your character takes to try and achieve this career that they want. So I just have a really great time with this. I've been doing it for 4 years now, and I'm just super excited. These prompts are so fun. So the first class that my character has to complete, which this time around in the spring when we do this, there's only like 1 prompt per class. The second time we do it in the fall, which is the September one, there are 3 different prompts for the classes, and depending on which career you want your character to have, they have to take a certain number of them. So I will tell you what class they're for and which level it is. So the first class I only have to take the first level of is Elemental Studies, and the prompt is a book with water on the cover. And I will be reading, ooh, it's not on top of my stack, my bad. I will be reading Hex Hall by Rachel Hawkins. You can see there's this big pond with her reflection in it, and I don't know much about this. Oh, there's a cat on the cover. That's cute. I don't know much about this other than it's about a girl who, I don't know if she's always known she's a witch or if she discovers that she's a witch, and so she starts going to this school for magical creatures, and there's like vampires and shapeshifters and all that. So, sounds super fun and super silly, so I'm excited to read this. Then we have astronomy, and I have to read the first 2 levels of that. So the first level is a character with an invisible illness, which love that prompt as someone with an invisible illness myself, and it gives me an excuse to fit in my favorite book of all time, which I read every September as a little treat to myself, and that book is The Bone Houses by Emily Lloyd Jones. One of our main characters, Ellis, does have chronic pain because of a childhood injury, and that is an invisible illness. It's not something you can see that he has. So I love this book so much for a variety of reasons, but the disability rep definitely is one of the top ones, and I'm excited that I could fit it on this TBR. Then for the second level of astronomy, the prompt is a genre that you don't read very often, and the genre I've gone with is nonfiction. I am not putting in whatever the book club book is for the Bujo Buddies book club, because if it's self-help, I'm not going to want to read it. Instead, I am putting on Civil Disobedience and Other Essays by Henry David Thoreau, which I also don't think I'm going to enjoy, but I have it physically, and I want to put it on my shelf with all of my other Dover thrift editions because I think it'll look cute. It's this very lovely green color that I like. So that's what I put there. We're just gonna go with it. Next up is Restoration, and I have to do the first 2 levels for this class as well. The first prompt is a book with a single POV, and I'm fudging this a little bit. So the book that I'm putting on is the Lightning Thief graphic novel adaptation. So this technically, I guess, isn't single POV because it's more of like an omniscient view, although I guess you could argue that that's a single omniscient POV. But I'm putting this on because the Lightning Thief novel is single POV from Percy's point of view, and so I'm kind of like carrying that over into the graphic novel adaptation. I love Percy Jackson. I think this is going to be super fun to read the graphic novel edition because I've never done that before, so I am looking forward to that. Then the second level of this class is to randomly generate 5 countries and to read a book either set in or by an author from one of those countries. So if you remember me talking about a book before when I was doing my card pulls, you know what this is, but I will insert the clip here of me generating the countries. I got really lucky with the ones that I rolled, or spun, I guess, because I got Sweden, Belize, China, Denmark, and Haiti. There are definitely much more obscure countries that I could have gotten, but I have decided to go with China for this, and this is where I will be putting The Three Body Problem by Cixin Liu. Again, no clue if I'm pronouncing that even remotely correctly, but I am trying my best. And of course, someone has started doing yard work down the street. I have no idea if you can hear it, if my microphone is picking that up, but we're just gonna keep going because we're almost at the end. I have one more prompt to talk about, and that is for spells and incantations. I only have to read the first level of that, and the prompt is to roll a six-sided die and to read a book with that many pages in it, or that many hundreds of pages, and I will insert the clip of me rolling my die. So as you saw, I got a 4, which means I had to pick a book between 400 and 499 pages, and the book that I'm going with is The Fellowship of the Ring, because this is... you can't see that, but it says 458 pages. So, very neatly fit into this prompt, and I'm very glad that it did. So here we have my physical TBR for the month, plus I think I didn't count 4 or 5 ebooks? I don't know. Quite a thick stack, quite a tall stack, but I am very excited for these reads, not just because of the reads themselves, but because of the readathons that I'm doing. I'm so excited. You guys have no idea. I know I keep repeating myself, but truly is a wonderful time. I love these readathons. It's my birthday month. I'm doing a great buddy read with a friend. September's gonna be fabulous, and I cannot wait. I'm gonna put this down now because it's super heavy, and also because we've reached the end of the video. So if you've enjoyed this, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments if you're participating in either of these readathons or any other readathons happening, because I know there are so many going on in September. Feel free to subscribe to my channel, and that way I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone!